This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 5th day of April in the year 2018. Here's what we're tracking this evening. Secretary General of the United Nations Antonio Guterres met with Guyana's Vice President and the Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge yesterday at the UN headquarters in New York. The meeting was a closed-door one. Only a photo opportunity was available to the press. The meeting may have been a briefing from the Foreign Minister about Guyana's official application to the International Court to get a final settlement in that border controversy with Venezuela. The official application was filed by the Foreign Minister in The Hague last week. It has since been published on the ICJ's website. In the application, Guyana is asking the court to declare that the 1899 award is valid and binding upon Guyana and Venezuela, and that the boundary established by that award and the 1905 agreement is valid and binding upon both countries. Additionally, Guyana wants to enjoy full sovereignty over the territory between the Essequibo River and the boundary established by the 1899 award and the 1905 agreement, as Venezuela enjoys full sovereignty over the territory west of that boundary. Additionally, the International Court is being asked to also rule that Venezuela shall immediately withdraw from and cease its occupation of the eastern half of the island of Ancocco and each and every other territory which is recognized as Guyana's sovereign territory in accordance with an 1899 award and the 1905 agreement. Additionally, Guyana wants a declaration that Venezuela is internationally responsible for violations of Guyana's sovereignty and sovereign rights, and for all injuries suffered by Guyana as a consequence. The Foreign Minister has said that the court case will be lengthy, but the government will keep the Guyanese public up to date with all of the developments. Let's tell you now that a new Chief Executive Officer at the Guyana Power and Light Company, Albert Gordon, has unveiled a plan that he hopes will stem the decline in service by GPL. At a media event hosted by the company last evening, the new CEO revealed that the company's infrastructure is currently in a bad state, and there is need for several changes to be effected to start improvement. He said as it is now, GPL needs an injection of $110 million to fix the serious deficiencies in the system. That money, he said, will go towards having a redundancy plan in place. It will also be used to execute a reconfiguration and reconducting of the power system in an effort to stabilize it.
So while we are everything to manage what exists and to keep it up, we need to do some major reconfiguration. So I've already identified a number of things that we need to do. We'll need about $110 million to deal with the urgent matters, the reconfiguration, reconductoring, building a little redundancy there, just to get the system stable. So that's the first wake-up call.
The new CEO said many of the systems need to be changed and updated, and backup systems must be put in place.
There's no backup. If you take out a line for maintenance, you have outages because you don't have a backup supply. Or if a line goes out due to some failure, you have outages. So even if this entire system doesn't go down, you get failure. So the first priority is to keep the lights on.
The new GPL chief also told journalists last evening that last year GPL experienced 25 shutdowns, and that's a major cause for concern. He noted that in many countries, one shutdown in the lifetime of a system would be a major problem, so the issue must be addressed. Public Infrastructure Minister David Patterson, who was also at the event, welcomed the new CEO and said government will soon be considering his requests and plans. Well, having fought against the government's introduction of the value-added tax in private school fees and getting the government to withdraw the tax, parents of children who attend the Mace private school now appear to have an even bigger problem on their hands. The parents have formed themselves into a group to raise concern over the school's decision to increase fees ranging from 14% to 42%. The group of 172 parents in a statement said they were left shocked when just before the close of school for the Easter term, they received notices from the school informing them of the new fees, which will take effect when school reopens. Parents of children attending the school's playgroup will now face a 42% increase in the fees per term, which will jump from $35,000 to $50,000. The school's nursery department will attract a 35% increase from $45,000 to $60,000 per term, while those children in grades 1 to 4 will face an increase in their fees by 25%, as that will jump from the current $60,000 to $75,000. The parents of children preparing for the common entrance examinations will have to do some extra math, as the school fees will be increased from $70,000 to $80,000 per term. The new fees include $20,000 for extra lessons. Parents are fuming that the increases have been announced with no proper explanation, and they want a justification for the increases. They are not happy with what has been told to them by the school. The school has explained to the parents that the costs to do business have increased, as well as the challenge of hiring teachers who are both motivated and experienced. But according to the parents, ironically, the administration of the school stood with them when they were against the 14% value-added tax on private school fees. They say the school has now doubled the burden on their shoulders. And finally this evening, the charge of murder will be laid tomorrow against the GDF Captain Erwin Sandy, who turned himself over to police after shooting his reputed wife dead on Saturday. Relatives and colleagues of Sandy and the dead woman were all at court today, hoping that the case would have been filed today. But it was not until late this afternoon that the Director of Public Prosecutions gave the go-ahead for the charge of murder to be laid against him. He's expected in court on Friday morning. A post-mortem examination on the body of Riona Payne found that she was shot 14 times to the body, once to the head and 13 times to the chest. She died from multiple gunshot injuries. Just after the shooting, the reputed husband surrendered to police and also turned over his weapon. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.